آزادی بیان
言论自由
free speech.
Because you mentioned being taken to court and you mentioned the word dignity. Now we have with us in the room Jeremy Waldron, who professor of social and political theory in this university, who has just written a fascinating book arguing the case for hate speech legislation. Roughly speaking, I'll leave it to him to characterize it precisely, on the grounds of the dignitarian harm which is done by images and words. And I wanted us to clarify your position on the law, because as I read your new book, you're almost beyond the First Amendment. You not only make the classical First Amendment statement, the answer to bad speech is more speech,
Correct.
You say YouTube shouldn't have taken down a death threat against you, which was up on YouTube, which is an extraordinary thing to say, because even in the First Amendment tradition, direct death threats are illegal. So is there nothing you would ban by law?
Correct.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
Direct threats of personal violence?
I would not ban the publication of such things.
Wow.
And for me, there's a simple reason behind all of this. Those of us who advocate for what some would call liberal, others would call progressive values, what I, simply call modernity, we need to know what we're up against. And what I explained in Allah, Liberty, and Love, by way of inviting YouTube to repost that death threat against me, what I said was that by deleting the roughest edges of this debate, we become, in many ways, willfully blind to all that is involved in fighting for individual liberty and freedom of expression and universal human rights and pluralism of peaceful ideas. The moment we allow ourselves then, to become that negligent about what the odds are and how, as the Quran would call it, how steep the uphill trek to moral courage is, it's too easy then to become shocked, surprised, and silenced by the backlash that will invariably come your way when you argue for these unpopular positions.
But that's a very demanding message,
It's a high
isn't it?
standard.
I mean, it's asking, in a sense, it's asking people to be heroes. What if people are, feel they belong to a vulnerable minority in a threatening environment, and they're not very brave, which a lot of people aren't?
Well, I don't think it is asking people to be heroes, Tim. Some people are capable of that and aspire to that even, and God bless them. But most people don't see themselves as such, and frankly don't need to be heroes in order to push the parameters of openness within democratic societies. I'll give you one example. A woman by the name of Lillian Smith, who most Americans have never heard of because her story is not taught, and it should be. She was a white Southern woman in the 1930s and 40s who openly, publicly, and repeatedly called for an end to racial segregation. And she was mocked, condescended to, despised as a radical and as an extremist by her fellow liberal white Southerners. Now, on the basis of the response that she received, you'd never think that this woman had any influence. But somebody was listening, and his name was Martin Luther King Jr. And a full generation after Lillian Smith, MLK cited her as one of his teachers. She wasn't a hero, and certainly would not have been considered one in her time. But clearly, by using her voice, regardless of the fact that sometimes she had to be snuck onto white-only university campuses because she was hated so much by white Georgians. By using the voice in the way that she did, what she became was and this is her phrase that she taught to MLK, she became a creative extremist. Not a destructive one, but one who fought with love and thereby added value to the discussion and the debate.